Hello everyone, I'm Swati and today I'm going to teach you some of the coding in C. We are going to print some patterns using C programming language. So let's begin. So if I tell you that you have to print this pattern, then some of you might think that we can use separate print statements for each line, print A, print AB, print ABC and so on. But it will not be optimized approach for a code which has 100 lines in it, right? If you have to print a pattern which has 100 lines in it, then you have to write 100 print statements, right? Then what can we do to optimize it? Just look at this last word. Then we can get an idea that from this we can form many patterns. That is, from this itself we can extract all these things. That is, we can get A, AB, ABC from this single string. So we just want this single string, and from that we can extract each word or characters which we have to print. That makes some logic, right? So we can try to code this. Okay, so this print statement is to extract the first word from this string and to get two characters from it. We have to just change this 1 to 2. That is, AB will be printed. And if you want to print 3, then you have to give here 3. So you may think that again it's not an optimized approach, since we have to again write 100 lines of code if we have to print 100 patterns. So what else can we do? Okay, so again going back to the pattern, we can see that in first line 1 character is printed, in second line 2 characters are printed, in third 3. So that is, the number of the line is equal to the number of characters to be printed. So why not put that in a for loop? Just we can try that. Okay. Okay, so here I have used this variable as ITR. You can take any variable, and this is generally, the for loop is to is for defining the row. For row is equal to 1, 2, 3. So since here the row is equal to the number of characters to be printed, the same variable we have defined it here, ITR. So the star is used instead of 1 or 2, which we used in the previous case. This is because the star means a variable, and that variable we are defining it as ITR. I think you can understand that instead of 1 when the row will be equal to 1, it will print just one letter. When it will be equal to 2, it will print 2 characters, and when it will be equal to 3 characters will be printed. So this is how it works. And similarly we can form other patterns too using this, just by reversing the loop we can make that. So I'll do that. So firstly, what change we can do is we'll try to, okay, I have not shown you the outputs. You can see the output here. So the pattern which I showed you, we have got the same output. Okay, now we'll try to get some different pattern using this. We'll try to just tilt this towards right. Okay, how can we do that is, so here you can see I have made only one change, that is I have written phi dot. First we can see what happens. Yes, it has got tilted. So how it has got tilted is, this phi means that the output length should be phi. And why we have got spaces here is, since we have given a positive value here, it will print the spaces in front of this character. That is, since only one character is to be printed, but the length we have defined is phi, so it will print 4 spaces here. And similarly for printing 2, it will print 3 spaces. So 3 plus 2 will be 5, right? So I think you have understood. So the same thing will be followed in each line. And now suppose if you want to print 2 things, 2 triangle pattern, then that also you can do by just copying and pasting this. Just save it, compile it and run. Okay, here it has not got saved. Just okay, so we have to put curly braces for this for loop also. That's why we did not get the output. So first I'll show you without this print statement what output we'll get, right? Okay, you can see that everything has come in the same line. So that's the importance of this print new line statement. So now if we save and run, it should be printf. I'm sorry. And here what is happening is, since already I have defined here new line, it has come in new line. So here we can remove all these new lines since I've given it in the end. Now we can run this. Okay, we can see that two patterns have been formed. How this has happened is, first this printf statement will be executed. That is, a single A after 4 spaces will be executed. Then again after 4 spaces this A will be executed, and then it will move on to a new line. And after 3 spaces 2 ABs will be printed. Again after 3 spaces 2 AB will be printed, and then to a new line. So this whole thing will keep on repeating. So now if we want to make some other exciting patterns, then how can we do? Just by making some small changes. So I told you that since we are giving a positive value, then we are getting spaces in the front of this. Now if you want to, if we give a negative value, just we'll check what happens. See, when I give a negative value, so after printing a character we get spaces. So A is printed and then we get 4 spaces after that. Here in this loop we get first 4 spaces and then A is printed. So in this way a mountain like structure is formed, which we can see is so amazing, right? And similarly we can form other patterns also using this. Okay, just by making small change, again I'm going to form a new pattern, and again you will be amazed. So just I'm using the same loop, but the only thing is we are going to now decrement this loop. Here now just try to run this and we'll can see what happens. Okay, wait, I have not given the stopping condition for this. Yes, see here, since this is a decreasing loop, it should be minus minus. Okay, so now you can see a beautiful butterfly pattern has formed, right? So how this has happened, this is very simple. Just compare this with the previous output. This is the previous output which we have got. It was like a mountain, right? And compare this with this. Just what I have done is, see, if we divide this into 2 halves, then you can see that this is like a mirror image of the upper one. So just compare it with this. Just if we have inverted this and put it here. So the same thing I have done. We have inverted this loop. The condition is reversed here, and we have given the same loop, and a beautiful butterfly pattern has formed from the mountain pattern. So now just we'll make some few changes which will make this more interesting. Okay, so we'll just interchange these two loops and see what happens. Now I've given this loop in the front, and now we'll see what happens. See, a diamond or a rhombus structure has formed, and just compare this with the previous output. You can see that here we have a V-like structure, and here an inverted V. Just we have to place this downward structure upward and upward structure downward, then we can get a diamond like structure, right? Yes, the same thing I have done. This downward loop, this loop has been placed up, and the upward loop was placed down, and we got a diamond pattern. How amazing it is, right? And now again we'll make small change and we'll get another new pattern. So just I'll change the minus to plus and plus to minus in all the loops. So here now just save this and execute it. So you can see an sand clock or hourglass pattern has been formed. So it's so amazing, and just compare that with the previous output. See, this is the previous output which we got. So here we can see that the only change is that here we had these spaces in the left side we had spaces after each character, and in the right side we had spaces before each character. Just it has got inverted. We have spaces before the characters, and here we have after the character. So the same thing I have done. As I told you before, that plus means the space will be printed before the character, and minus means the space will be printed after the character. So the same, if I change the plus to minus and minus to plus, then a beautiful hourglass pattern will be formed. So now let's try another interesting thing just by making another change. Yes, what I'm going to do is I'll paste this here. I've just interchanged the two loops and check. See, we already got a diamond pattern, but what the difference is that here the characters are inside the diamond. Previously we had a diamond like this, and now we have a pattern like this. So what change I have done? So this was the previous program, hourglass pattern or sand clock pattern. So the change which I have done from this is that here this downward triangle is placed up, and this decrementing triangle is placed down. So the same thing was done in the program also, right? Just the two loops were interchanged. So you can see how interesting patterns you can form just by one basic concept of this print statement and a for loop. So you can imagine even how many more programs you can do. You can form new and big loops also using this, and new patterns also by making this. So I'd like to conclude with a quote that getting attention to something may be easier, but gaining interest in something is difficult. So to gain interest in this programming, you can try these exciting programs. So daily you can practice some new programs and interesting programs to gain interest in programming, and after that you will never say that programming is harder or difficult. And thank you.